TC, and welcome to another edition of Morning Coffee. Hey, if you're like me and you grew up in the 80s, you probably grew up listening to, I don't know, some rock and roll. And one of the guys I used to listen to, Ozzy Osbourne, I know, probably not the churchiest guy in the world, but he had this song, Momma, I'm Coming Home. And I remember the song, I think I remember some of the lyrics, but he had this troubled kind of up and down relationship with his mom. And yet he was still drawn in by her because he knew that she loved him and stuff like that. And so it's kind of this song that kind of had these mellow notes to it, these kind of depressive notes to it. But it also was the fact that he still loved her and was going to come home to her. And so you guys may or may not be familiar with Ozzy Osbourne and "Mama, I'm Coming Home," but I remember distinctly that song. It's kind of a memory that's kind of built into my head. It was kind of it was a song playing in Home Depot in Ripon, California, and I got a phone call on my cell phone, and it was my dad. And my dad told me to get some stuff packed up, and that mom wasn't doing very well, and I needed to fly home. So I packed up all my stuff, told my wife and kids that I'd be taking off right away as kind of an emergency, and then I flew out of California and landed in Pittsburgh. I drove from Pittsburgh up to Erie, Pennsylvania, where my mom was already in the hospital. And to save you all the details, oncologist came out, told me first that my mom had metastatic melanoma of the liver, and that she was going to be put into hospice care right away, and that he probably wouldn't give her more than just a few days. In that moment, I remember walking in that hospital room after talking to the oncologist in the hallway, and I remember just the flashbacks of childhood. I remember, my mom every morning was praying. She was just constantly praying. Her and my dad would get together in the mornings and have a devotional. I think they'd read through a little book some of you might have grown up with called Our Daily Bread and stuff like that. But I think the biggest thing that I remember about my mom growing up was on Friday nights. When I was in high school, I was pretty rebellious, and I was out partying and drinking and hanging out with my buddies. And I would come in, right, and I'd have like a half a pack of gum in my mouth trying to mask all the beer and liquor that I'd had that night and stuff like that. And I'd come home and I'd listen, right, because I wanted to hear a couple of things. I wanted to hopefully hear mom and dad asleep, but my dad snored. So if I heard him snoring, then I knew I was kind of in the clear. So I'd come home, and my mom would be in the living room, and she'd be there praying for me, like on her knees, and just praying that I'd be safe, praying for my life. And during that time in high school, she was also the other side too, the other extreme. She pushed me. She would get in arguments, and we'd fight, and there was a lot of discord between us. And as any teenager, kind of trying to fight to be his own guy, we didn't always see eye to eye, and so there was a lot of where my mom kind of pushed me, and we kind of had this topsy turvy up and down, very similar to the lyrics to Mama, I'm Coming Home by Ozzy Osbourne. But, in that hospital room, sitting there, and then like sitting here, even right now, and shooting this, I look back and think, man, those prayers came through. They didn't come through overnight, right? I went off to college, and I partied, and I got a DUI, and I got all kinds of trouble my way, and but I made it back, right? And I made it back to my faith, and so this morning I just want to take that image of somebody who was in consistent prayer. My mom prayed for me daily. She always had my back, and even when I didn't listen, even when I kind of walked away, eventually those prayers came true, and eventually I never forgot those things. I never forgot how much impact she made in my life because of those moments that I caught her praying for me. So this morning, don't give up hope. I don't know where you are. I don't know where today finds you. I don't know if you've got children or teenagers or college students or maybe even a husband or wife who seems to be walking away from God. But I just want to encourage you, dedicate yourself to prayer. Pray even when it seems hopeless. Pray even when it seems like it's doing no good, because in those moments you're spending with God, something great can happen. And maybe years from now, maybe 3 to 4 or 5 years. But just stick with it, all right? Have a good day.